We've won in Greece, but there's absolute carnage everywhere else today. Vaclav Cerny's being called pathetic and infantile, and now the SFA's under serious pressure to come down hard on him. Hamza Igamane's being linked with a shock Premier League move, and Kyogo Furuhashi now claims he does have the trust of his teammates and the squad. Meanwhile, Brighton are back poking around Tynecastle, ready to nick yet another Hearts wonder kid. Those were just the headlines. Stick around for the full story and even more Scottish football updates. Oh, we've got drama straight off the back of the Glasgow Derby, and this time, it's not about dodgy penalties or last-minute winners. No, this one's about a water bottle, a soaked crowd, and a winger who's now at the center of a storm that's way bigger than a splash. Vaclav Cerny, the Rangers wide man, is under fire for what some are calling pathetic and infantile behavior after he sprayed water at Celtic fans in the heat of Sunday's Derby chaos. Rangers won 3-2 at Parkhead, their first victory there since 2020. But instead of just basking in the glory, Cerny took things one step further, or maybe 10 steps too far, depending on who you ask. So, picture this. Rangers have just grabbed the winner. The away bench erupts, and Cerny, in all his euphoria, turns to the Celtic faithful and gives them a bit of a sprinkle with the water bottle. And now, Police Scotland are involved. The SFA are sniffing around, and former ref Steve Conroy is absolutely fuming, saying the Czech winger's antics were pathetic and infantile. Not exactly words you want on your end-of-season review, eh? Conroy reckons the SFA have to act whether one match ban or a formal censure. But here's the twist. Censures aren't all that common. They're usually reserved for players who go off on Twitter rants or drop clangers in interviews, not for soaking rival fans in the middle of a goal celebration. Still, Conroy thinks something's got to give. The referees on the day didn't catch it, understandable, as they were focused on the madness on the pitch, but now all eyes are on Hampton and what they'll decide. Cerny, for his part, called the fuss absurd, and let's be honest, if Rangers had lost, we probably wouldn't be talking about this at all. But when it comes to this rivalry, even the waters never still for long. So here's the big question for you, the viewer. Should a player be banned for celebrating a goal by spraying water at rival fans? Or is this just part of the chaos we love in the Glasgow Derby? Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't hold back. The transfer rumor mills in full spin, and this time, it's Hamza Igamane in the spotlight. The lad's barely unpacked his bags in Glasgow, and already there's Premier League clubs sniffing around, led rather surprisingly by Everton. Now, if you've not been watching much Scottish football this season, let me catch you up. Igamane, just 22 years old, rocked up at Ibrox from Asfar for a tidy little sum of £1.7 million. Not exactly a blockbuster signing at the time, but what a first impression. He's made 14 goals in his debut Scottish Premiership campaign, including that last gasp winner against Celtic in the Derby. You know, the one that had Rangers fans climbing lampposts and Celtic fans calling talk radio in a rage. But now, the rumblings say he's caught the eye of Everton, along with a cheeky half-dozen other English clubs: Spurs, West Ham, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham. It's like a Premier League buffet, and Igamane's the main course. Pat Nevin, former Toffees man himself, isn't quite sold though. He reckons jumping from the Scottish Premiership to leading the line at Goodison Park would be, quote, off the scale. He's not wrong. It's a leap that's eaten up plenty of promising attackers before. Nevin's basically saying, decent numbers, good instincts, but let's not pretend he's the second coming of Didier Drogba just yet. And there's more than just footballing hurdles. Everton, still financially wobbling and soon to be settling into their flashy new home at Bramley Dock, don't have the luxury of splashing £20 million on maybes. According to Nevin, Igamane might be worth a punt as a squad player, but he's not walking straight into that first team. Not yet. To his credit, Igamane isn't rushing out the door. The boy's living the dream, just got his first Morocco call-up, and is genuinely buzzing about representing his country. He said himself Rangers was the dream move, and now it's about taking things one step at a time. Sensible lad? Rare in this game. But let's be real money talk. And if the Premier League comes knocking with serious cash, it's hard to say no. For Rangers, it could be another flippin' profit story. For Everton, well, remember Moyes' Keane? Should Rangers cash in on Hamza Igamane now while his stock is high, or keep him, build around him, and risk losing him for less if he flops next season? Let me know in the comments, and as always, keep it spicy. Oh dear, it's not quite going to script for Kyogo Furuhashi, is it? Just a few months ago, he was lighting up Parkhead, scoring for fun, and being serenaded by the Celtic faithful week in, week out. Fast forward to now, and the Japanese striker finds himself in footballing limbo £10 million later, barely getting off the Rennes bench, and already rumors swirling about his replacement. It's brutal out there. Since his January move to Stade Rennes, Kyogo's made only 4 appearances, just 1 start, and not a single goal to his name. For a player who was electric in the Scottish Premiership, that's a nosedive no one saw coming. But to be fair to him, he's been carrying a persistent shoulder injury since his Celtic days, and adjusting to a new league at 30 isn't exactly a walk in the park. In a rare moment of honesty you don't always get from top-level players, Kyogo's admitted he doesn't yet have the trust of his Rennes teammates. That's a pretty raw statement, isn't it? He's out there sprinting for balls that may never come, hoping that 1 pass out of 10 might fall his way. That's not tactic, that's survival instinct. But he's keeping his chin up, still grafting, still staying positive. Class act, really. And just when he thought international duty might give him a chance to reset, Japan go and win 2-0 over Bahrain without even putting him on the bench. That's the kind of blow that stings more than any crunching tackle. He's still hopeful for a chance against Saudi Arabia, but it's hard not to feel the momentum slipping. To make matters worse, French reports are now claiming Rennes have already lined up a successor. Enter Florian Thauvin, the ex-Marseille man currently at Udinese, whose contract's running out and whose name is now floating around the Rennes dressing room like an early eviction notice. It's all gone a bit sour, hasn't it? From Celtic cult hero to forgotten man in France in the space of a few months. Did Kyogo make a massive mistake leaving Celtic for Rennes? Or was this always going to happen when a player shines in Scotland but struggles on the bigger European stage? Drop your thoughts in the comments and try not to argue too much. Or do. It helps the algorithm. Brighton, the Premier League's unofficial talent scouts for Scottish football, are back sniffing around Tynecastle. This time, it's 16-year-old Alfie Osborne, a bright spark in Hearts' youth ranks, who's caught their eye. The Seagulls were spotted in the stands as Osborne turned out for Scotland's under-17s in a 2-2 draw with North Macedonia. And they're not just window shopping. Brighton have been keeping tabs on him for a while now, with more eyes expected on the young centre-back when Scotland face Romania and Liechtenstein in the coming days. They've done their homework too, poring over the data and digging into his numbers. Classic Brighton, more spreadsheets than scouts, some would say. Osborne's already had a taste of the big time. Training with Steve Clarke's senior Scotland squad, that's a massive nod for a teenager still learning how to do algebra while playing out from the back. Now, let's not forget, this isn't Brighton's first Hearts heist. They've been down this road before, plucking Mark Leonard from Gorgie's academy before selling him on to Birmingham City. So if you're a Jambos fan, this probably feels a bit like deja vu. Except this time, it's the club's next defensive gem that might be heading south. And look, from the lad's point of view, it's hard to resist. A Premier League setup, top-class facilities, and the chance to climb the ranks in one of the world's most watched leagues. It's the dream. But from a Scottish football perspective, it does raise a familiar and frustrating dilemma: develop the talent just well enough for someone else to cash in. So here's the £1 million, or should we say multi-million pounds in a few years. Question for you: is it time for Scottish clubs like Hearts to demand bigger fees or even block early moves for young stars like Alfie Osborne to stop the Premier League from treating the SPFL like a bargain bin? Fire away in the comments. Let's see what side you're on. If you haven't seen Scottish Football Yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Go check it out now.